Star Wars month is back. So we've concluded our reviews of the original trilogy and both Star Wars story spin-offs, and we are moving on to the original trilogy, starting with Star Wars. It's just called Star Wars. Some people call it Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope, which it technically is, but I just call it Star Wars because that was the original release name. It was released in 1977, directed by George Lucas, starring Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Alec Guinness, James Earl Jones, Peter Mayhew. Big cast, a lot of great characters introduced in this movie. So without any further introduction, here is my review for Star Wars. Starting off with the good, and there's a lot of great stuff in this movie. I mean, this movie is iconic in every sense of the word. You get introduced to a lot of terrific characters in this movie. Mark Hamill plays Luke Skywalker, and he is absolutely amazing. His character development throughout this entire trilogy is terrific. I will get to that in the next two reviews in this trilogy, but this was a terrific starting point for the character of Luke Skywalker. He's basically just a whiny farm boy who gets swept up into this whole conflict between the Empire and the Rebellion. It's just an absolutely amazing bit of growth for his character within this movie. Harrison Ford as Han Solo, absolutely terrific. I love Han Solo. He's one of my favorite Star Wars characters ever. I love his smooth talk, his devil-may-care attitude. It's just the way he approaches everything. He's always in some sort of bad mood, or he's really just out for himself. I really loved the way Harrison Ford played this character. Carrie Fisher, rest her soul, as Princess Leia, absolutely terrific. I love her character. Then you have Alec Guinness as Obi-Wan Kenobi, or known in this movie as Ben Kenobi, which you had Ewan McGregor playing him in the prequels, but this was the first canon introduction to Obi-Wan Kenobi as this older man, this strange hermit type character who takes Luke under his wing once he meets him for the first time and teaches him the ways of the Force, which obviously it doesn't really, he doesn't live to fully teach him. We'll get more to that in later reviews. But I did really love Alec Guinness in this movie. He even got an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor, and apparently Alec Guinness isn't big on Star Wars, but still, he did a really good job as an older Obi-Wan Kenobi in this movie. And then you have two of the more unlikely heroes of this movie. You have C3po and R2d2, who were in the prequels, but they get much more to do in these movies than in the prequels, and I absolutely love these characters. Anthony Daniels is terrific as C3po. He's this sassy British robot who's scared of everything. I just love his banter with everyone, and I just love the fact that he's constantly verbally berated by everyone, except for Luke, who is the only one who's actually nice to him consistently throughout all 9 movies. Then you have R2D2 constantly sassing him as well. Every time C3PO wants to do something, R2D2 sasses him and does the exact opposite thing. It's absolutely terrific. And then you have the villains in this movie. I'll go ahead and talk about the less iconic one. Even though he is kind of iconic, he's just less iconic. And that's Grand Moff Tarkin. He's an absolutely evil dictator type villain. He's just a very manipulative, sly, evil old man who really carries out a bunch of evil acts just to get some information out of some characters. He's absolutely terrific. He's very condescending, very sly, manipulative. I love the way the actor portrays this character. And then you have probably the most iconic villain in film history, and that is Darth Vader. I love this character. He's easily, like I said, the most iconic villain in film history. Just that suit, the voice by James Earl Jones, the breathing. I just love everything about this character, and he does get some more great character development in the prequels, but also throughout these films, and we'll get to that when we get to those movies. But I just really love the character of Darth Vader. And then you have, aside from the characters, you have this amazing world that you're introduced to in this movie. You get all these wonderful locations. You get Tatooine, which admittedly is a pretty overused location at this point in Star Wars history. You got it featured heavily in the Book of Boba Fett. It was revisited like once in the sequel trilogy, and it's gonna be in the Obi-Wan series on Disney Plus, but still, I really love this location. And you get Yavin 4, which is the Rebel base, the Death Star, just all these terrific areas. And the thing that's most impressive about it, especially for a movie released in 1977, is that this world feels lived in. It doesn't feel brand new. It feels like people have been living here for years, which is even more evident in Darth Vader's suit. You see the imperfections on his helmet, especially some of the scratches and smudges. It just feels like an already established, perfectly lived in world. I just love everything about the atmosphere and the world building inside of this entire movie. It's absolutely terrific. And the special effects in this movie, honestly for me, still hold up to this day. Yes, there's some of the weird-ass CGI inclusions from the special edition, but you take all that out and you still got these terrific special effects, these great practical effects, it's all filmed on location. Hardly any of it, if any, is filmed on green screen. And then you get these really cool action sequences. You don't get a whole bunch in this movie. You get the duel between Vader and Obi-Wan on the Death Star, which admittedly is weaker because it was the first lightsaber duel, but I still really love it because it symbolizes the fact that Vader and Obi-Wan are no longer the young men who fought on Mustafar in Revenge of the Sith. They are these older men, and Obi-Wan's really not fighting him to win. He's fighting him to allow time for Luke, Han, Leia, Chewbacca, C3po and R2d2 to escape from the Death Star. And when he sees that they've made it to safety, he sacrifices himself and he lets himself become one with the Force. And I just think that's an extremely powerful scene. I just love how it plays out. And then for the other action sequence I want to point out, and that's the assault on the Death Star in the final act of this movie. After they have rescued Princess Leia from the Death Star, you finally get R2D2 delivering the plans of the Death Star to the rebels, and Han Solo goes off. He collects his payment and leaves. And then the Rebel Alliance launch an assault on the Death Star, and a lot of them die, aside from Luke and Wedge, basically. And you think that Luke is going to die as well, but then Han Solo swoops in at the last second and clears a path for him, and you get that famous scene with Luke in the cockpit, and you hear Obi-Wan's voice telling him to use the Force, trust his feelings. And it's a terrific scene. You get that 1 in a million shot where he shoots his torpedoes into the vent and the Death Star blows up. It's an absolutely terrific scene. It, for me, still holds up to this day. Also, Greedo never fired a shot, so I don't want to hear it. Han shot first because Greedo never shot. But that's about all I have for the good here. Let's move on to the bad. And the only thing I have with the bad here is a special edition change, and I'm not gonna dock points from it because it's a special edition change, but that's the scene between Han Solo and Jabba the Hutt in front of the Millennium Falcon right after he shoots Greedo. I just feel like it's unnecessary, and I feel like Jabba the Hutt should have been saved for the reveal in Return of the Jedi, which he was originally, but they added Jabba into the special edition for this movie for some reason. I don't know, whatever. It's the only thing I have wrong with this movie, and I'm not going to dock points because it's a special edition change. So in the end, final thoughts, Star Wars still holds up. It's iconic in every sense of the word. It's a terrific introduction to this great world of characters and locations. Star Wars is definitely an absolute classic. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, and I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. So that was my thoughts on Star Wars, the original masterpiece. What did you think about this movie? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. As always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all next time.